It's an interesting time for business. Tariff and trade policies are dynamic, supply chains are squeezed, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. If your business can't adapt in real time, you are in a little bit of hurt. So how do you get full visibility and adapt in real time? Over 42,000 businesses trust NetSuite by Oracle, your AI-powered business management suite. It brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. NetSuite is the #1 cloud ERP for a reason. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. Real-time forecasting helps you move into the future with confidence, and with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. You spent months building towards launch day, but when the clock hits 0, your site crashes. Bots swarm, and loyal fans rage on Reddit. That's not good. Fanfare was built to stop that. Fanfare is the drop platform made for high-pressure moments, stampede-proof infrastructure, verified waitlists, and bot filters that actually work. Instead of refunds and rage, you get retention and revenue. And that sounds great to me. Your next launch shouldn't be a gamble. Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook and learn how to bulletproof your drop at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, that's fanfare.io/playbook. Hey, I get it. You've worked really hard to build up your business, and it's doing great. So great that you need help now. The most important thing for your business is to hire the right people to support it. So how can you find amazing candidates quickly? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you stand out and hire fast. And with Sponsored Jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, Sponsored Jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. And it's one of the largest databases of job seekers, too, giving business owners access to a wide range of candidates. And one of the things I love most about Indeed is the job alerts feature. I get notified when new candidates apply. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/smartpassive. Just go to Indeed.com/smartpassive right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/smartpassive. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring Indeed is all you need. This is the Smart Passive Income Podcast with Pat Flynn, session number 60. True story.
Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, where it's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host. He talks more on Skype than on the telephone, Pat Flynn.
Still using a copy-paste website? Break the template trap with Framer. Whether you're overwhelmed by traditional site builders or frustrated with cookie-cutter designs, Framer gives you the freedom to create a site that's professional, polished, and uniquely yours. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. It's free to start, allowing you to browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something on your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, parallax scrolling, scroll animations, looping animations, and much more in seconds. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting, generating starter layouts, and can even translate your entire site to any language. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of pro on the house. That's framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. Do you know the secret to businesses that are scaling faster than ever? They're using Upwork to tap into a diverse pool of skilled freelancers across various industries. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts who are ready to help you take your business to the next level. I've personally used Upwork myself and can vouch for it. Posting a job on Upwork is easy. With no cost to join, you can register, browse freelancer profiles, get help drafting a job post, or even book a consultation. From there, you connect with freelancers that get you and can easily hire them to take your business to the next level. Upwork makes the entire process easier, simpler, and more affordable with industry-low fees. Post a job today and hire tomorrow with Upwork. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That is Upwork.com to post your job for free and connect with top talent ready to help you grow your business. That's Upwork.com. Again, Upwork.com. Hey, what's up? This is Pat Flynn, and welcome to session 60 of the Smart Passive Income Podcast. I am so happy you're here because this is a very, very special episode. Why? Because just this past Monday, if everything goes according to plan, and I say that because I'm actually recording this before Monday happens, my new book, Let Go, will have been published. Now, I've published a couple of books before, but they were study guides for greenexamacademy.com. So those were a little different, and I don't know if I can really call those books. Like, I've sort of been on the edge of either calling myself an author or not because of those publications. But this is my first, book, my real book, definitely my first time publishing in a marketplace of some kind, and I'm extremely proud of it. However, it's actually a little hard for me to call it a book because it's so much more than that. It's text, but it's also video, audio, high quality slideshows and imagery, and also social media all in a book. And I'm really excited to share it with you if you haven't checked it out already. Let Go is being launched initially on a brand new publishing platform called Snippet. Snippet is a new iPhone, iPad, and iPad mini application for iOS right now, which means for right now it can only be accessed on those particular devices, although in the future it's planned to be on the Android platform, and I plan to rework it a bit for other traditional ebook platforms like Kindle. So whenever you're listening to this, if you just want to see what it looks like and what it's all about, perhaps purchase it. It's up to you. I'm not going to force you to do that. Just head on over to patflynn.me/letgo to check it out and see what's available. But initially what happens is you download the Snippet app. It's free, and you'll see a whole marketplace of different, quote, books or snippets, they call it, which are multimedia and social media rich books, which are being sold at various prices. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to pitch you the whole time here on this session and try to convince you to buy my book. That's not what this is about. I want to spend this session talking more about the process of how Let Go came to be, the writing process, hiring the team that I learned that I had to hire in order to really see this production through, what I've done to market Let Go, and also bring my team on the show, like actually have them on as guests, my editor and producer and videographer, to get their thoughts on the process, and also talk a little bit about what this means, what this Snippet platform means for publishing in general. So all of this actually started when I started writing a different book. Let Go was not the first book that I started writing with the audience at Smart Passive Income in mind, but it is the first one that was completed, which I know sounds a little weird. So back in July of 2012, this was last year, I began writing a book called Be Everywhere. I've sort of become known for that phrase, be everywhere. I've heard other people say it in other interviews, like Pat Flynn's Be Everywhere strategy, which is totally weird to me that people say that that's Pat Flynn's strategy, but it's also very cool at the same time. And for those of you who don't know, I did a presentation at Blog World Expo in Los Angeles in 2011 titled How to Be Everywhere, where I shared how I used multiple platforms such as a podcast and a YouTube channel in addition to my blog to make it seem like to everybody on the outside that I am indeed everywhere as a brand. That's what people were saying to me at the time, and they're still saying that to me. Pat, you just seem to be everywhere. Everywhere I go, there you are. So I shared this particular strategy and got a great response from it at Blog World Expo, and when I shared it later on the blog in a podcast, I believe that's podcast session number 28. So I decided to start writing a book about it to share more detail about how it works. Now, fast forward to the beginning of September of 2011, 20,000 words in on my first draft of Be Everywhere. I had planned to finish the book in 3 weeks from that point, right before my daughter's due date. My wife was about 8 months pregnant at the time. I had outlined exactly how many words I wanted to finish each day, which chapters I would finish and when, and then a week later, my daughter was born. She was born 3 weeks early, so I actually never got to finish Be Everywhere. I need large chunks of time to write, and with a newborn in the house, there was no way that was going to happen, just let alone sleep. So I put that project aside because family always comes first for me. I focused on my daughter and kept up with the blog and the podcast. And then in late October, this is where things get interesting, I got an email from a good friend who said she heard about this startup company that was developing a brand new publishing platform called Snippet. And she said I might be perfect for it. And she said, she described Snippet as this. She said, the short version of what it is that each snippet, sort of like a book, is between 8 and 12 chapters, with each chapter being a maximum of 1,000 words. In addition to the words, the snippet contains audios, videos, photos, social media, etc. Very interactive, very cool. And that description of it intrigued me so much enough to set up an online meeting with the Snippet team where I could actually see a demo of the platform, which was already developed at the time. It was just getting refined, and I was hooked. The sample book I saw on the platform looked amazing, and the way the reading experience sort of became this interactive multimedia experience, just impressed me so much. And after sharing a little bit about who I was and what I envisioned possibly publishing on this platform for the Snippet team, they decided to have me come on as one of their very first authors, which I am so stoked about. I mean, I'm just so honored. I mean, how many people can say they were one of the first published authors on a new platform? I mean, that's why I was really quick to accept this opportunity. Like, I mean, who wrote one of the first 10 books on Amazon or for Apple iBooks, And of course, it's also a great opportunity with a ton of potential for myself and my brand, and of course, with a great ability to potentially share the message that I want to share in a way that I couldn't really share it before. So a lot of people know and have connected with my personal story. I've told it on interviews, in many different blog posts, and in person to a lot of people as well. This is my story about getting laid off from the architecture industry, how crazy and drastic that was for me at the time, and then finding success online and becoming an online entrepreneur. But I never got into the insane details of it all. And this new platform, Snippet, and its multimedia capabilities it has allowed me to do that. Let Go was an idea for a book that I've had for a very long time, and this was sort of a sign that it was time to actually make it happen. So my Snippet's title, my book's title is, I'm still deciding how to call it, book, Snippet, but they're kind of interchangeable at this point for this conversation. The Snippet's title is Let Go, and it's Let Go for a couple of reasons. One, on the surface, it's because I was let go from my architectural position. So in the book, you'll actually get to see how I landed that position and how awesome and unforeseen that moment was for me. Then climbing the corporate ladder and then getting laid off. But it's also called Let Go because letting go is exactly what I had to do to get to the point where I'm at today. I had to let go of the idea that this path that I was on for so long was the one was the one that was right for me. I had to let go of that. It was the path that I was conditioned to be on, and that I had to let go of. And I also had to let go of the fears that I had along the way, the fear of the unknown, of what was going to happen, the fear of disappointment in myself and other people around me, feeling out of place a lot of the times and not even knowing where to start. And so as far as the purpose of the book, and it's always important to think about the purpose of something first before you really dive into something that you're going to share with an audience. What's the message that you want to send across? What do you want your audience to do or feel or think after it's over, after they close the book? This is something I learned when working with my speaking coach. And the purpose of this book, Let Go, of course, is to inspire a lot of people. But beyond that, I really wanted to show people that there are so many opportunities out there for us. Not just online, but in general. There are oceans of opportunities available to you, but you will never see them if you stay in your comfort zone. You'll never capture those opportunities until you realize just how much you really can do. You have the ability to break free. You are that powerful. You just don't even know it sometimes. So I hope this story and the detail that goes into it helps people realize their true potential. That's really what it's all about. And I talk a lot about that in the book, and that's why the cover is what it is. If you look at the cover, you'll see an elephant with a chain on its leg, and I talk about that in the book and why that's significant. Now, after hearing what this book is about, some of you might be like, this isn't online business or it's not marketing. And you're right, it's not. But it's so much more important than that, I feel. It's about the mindset that you have before pursuing anything. So whether that's online business or training for a sport, losing weight, getting a degree, whatever, this mindset stuff applies to everyone. It's sort of it is sort of a personal development book now that I think about it. And every successful entrepreneur I know doesn't just have business smarts or creativity or a good idea or good ideas. They have the right mindset to become an entrepreneur. So I wrote this book, and unlike Be Everywhere, which took me a couple of months to write, about 20 to 25,000 words, Let Go, which is about 11 to 12,000 words, took only 2 weeks. I finished it way quicker than I thought I was based on my experience with Be Everywhere, and I think it was much quicker because it was my story and less so much about the strategies and the methodologies and the theories, which is much harder to write about. I wrote the text in chapters, and again, Snippet limits each chapter to 1,000 words, so each chapter sort of reads like a blog post. That's what I love about it, and each chapter focuses on one particular sort of scene or part of the story, if you will. And I wrote it using a tool, an amazing tool called Scrivener, Scrivener. There's a Mac version, and I believe there's a Windows version too. There's a link to that tool in the show notes, smartpassiveincome.com/session60 for those notes. And it's an amazing tool that helps you organize your chapters, your thoughts, your ideas. And it's sort of hard to explain how powerful it is. You can try it on your own and make sure you go through the opening tutorial that it gives you when you open it up for the first time. I think it takes like an hour to get through that tutorial, but once you do that, you're golden, and it's totally worth it. So after I wrote it, I took it to my editor, Matt Gartland from winningedits.com, who actually for the past 2 years has been a part of my online fantasy football league, along with Adam Baker, Steve Cam, Sean Ogle, and a few other amazing people. And yes, I have to say this, I did win this past season, so thank you. So Matt Gartland and I knew each other from this fantasy football group, and I knew he was an editor. And so I actually came to him first with half of the manuscript for Be Everywhere. But when Let Go happened, I gave him that manuscript, and once it was done and he came back to me with it, he just told me how much he loved the story. And I was actually blown away from his response, which was huge for me because, he's an editor. He gets a ton of manuscripts, I'm sure. And after finalizing the text and telling him about the platform that it's going to be published on, that there was going to be multimedia involved, he proposed the idea of becoming a producer for the project. Because it wasn't just about the text anymore. It was about the video, the audio, the images, the illustrations, the conversations between myself and the Snippet team, uploading it to the Snippet platform, using their author dashboard, copywriting, all of this stuff I hadn't even really thought about in detail yet because I was just so focused on the text. And it wasn't until he came on board. And I have to say, I'm so glad that Matt came on board because he made everything come together and so much easier for me. And he made the process and the communication between everyone he kept us sane. That's what a project manager or producer sort of does. Of course, I paid for his services, but I would pay for them again because it was just so nice to just worry primarily about the content and getting behind the microphone and producing images, for particular moments of the book and getting behind the camera. Now, Matt is not a videographer, and it was actually perfect timing because I soon got hooked up with Caleb Wojcik to film the video parts of Let Go. And you may have already seen some of his work in the teaser trailer for Let Go. And, you may be like, oh, I think I've heard that name before. He also worked with Corbett Barr on thinktraffic.net and also with Corbett and Chase Reeves on a really cool video training program at fizzle.co, which I am loving right now, but I'll talk more about that in another podcast, I'm sure. Anyway, Caleb did it all. He did all the filming, all the editing for Let Go, and we actually traveled together to San Francisco to film on location at various places, such as the restaurant where I landed my architecture job. We filmed on location where I had my first mastermind meeting. We actually interviewed my dad to get his perspective on my journey, and we also interviewed my wife, April. So April is a part of this project too, and she's in the book. I know a lot of you have been wanting to hear, from her point of view of what it was like when I was laid off and what it's like now working from home and taking care of 2 kids and things like that. So as you can see, this is way bigger than just a book. This is a multimedia, personal, emotional story that I'm telling not just through text but through video and audio, and I just can't wait to see how it's received. I mean, I hope you all enjoy it when you get a chance to check it out. If not on the iOS platforms, because you don't have access to those right now, hopefully on Android or possibly on Kindle too later. And so, I'll bring Matt and Caleb on soon to talk a little bit more about the behind-the-scenes stuff that went on. But before I get to that, just a few things about marketing this snippet. And I have to say it was a little challenging because it's on this brand new platform. And just to be completely honest with you, since right now as I'm recording this, I haven't even seen the final product yet. So this is sort of a special case when it comes to product creation and a launch sequence and book writing. Typically, you would want to see a final product before you launch it. However, we have gone into the platform and we've seen, we've previewed it and it looks like it should. However, we haven't actually seen it live yet. But, this is new technology, a new startup. This is how things happen when things start up and, anything can happen. So I'm just praying for a smooth and just stress-free launch, although that's typically not ever how it works, but I'm hoping. And because Snippet, the actual Snippet marketplace application where you go and you see all the other Snippet books out there, even that's not even available yet. They haven't even launched on the App Store yet. So I can't even direct people to it and prepare them to purchase my particular snippet. It's pretty crazy, but you know what? It's been a lot of fun, and I have done a number of things to start to build buzz for this project. I announced that I was working on something on a brand new platform, I believe back in November of 2011. Again, I was contacted in October and decided to work on this in early November. And I just did that just to start to generate some curiosity. I mean, that's how really you want to start to build buzz, just to share little tidbits of what you're doing, but you don't want to give it all away. And one thing I'm really thankful for, actually, is my private Facebook group. I created a private Facebook group on Facebook. So, anyone who is interested in following my journey from scratch to becoming a published author, they could come on and have conversations with me and each other. And it has since grown to 3,200 members so far. These are now experienced authors, new authors, and since it's been up, there have been a lot of people who weren't authors before, but who are authors now, and they're sharing their experiences, their tips and strategies. It's awesome. And I'm glad that I've been able to share my journey in detail there. And I will continue to do that over time with future books as I market this book and other books. So if you wanted to check out that group, you'll have to click, I think you have to click a button that says join this group, and I have to approve you, and I'll typically approve you. You can find that group at patsfirstbook.com, and that'll redirect you to that group. That's patsfirstbook.com. So think about this. I have a group of amazing people, 3,200 people, most who have signed up to follow my progress, specifically about this book that I'm writing and publishing. And there's a good chance that when this book goes live, a major percentage of this highly targeted, interest-driven group will either share that news with their friends and followers, potentially purchase the book and even send me feedback on it too, which I hope, and it's priceless, of course. If I was initially publishing on the Kindle platform, there would probably be a little bit more activity come launch day, because that's initially what the group was created for. It was actually for the progress of Be Everywhere, and I had to, like I talked about earlier, put that aside, but then this opportunity came along. But still, 3,200 people. I mean, that's awesome, and thank you to every one of you who are in that group, or if you go to patsfirstbook.com, thank you for doing that. So in addition to this specialized group, my team and I decided it would be best to create a sort of Pat Flynn-centric site outside of Smart Passive Income to house and showcase Let Go and any of my other work that I've done and work that is in progress too. So we're sort of planning ahead for the future here with my new site, patflynn.me. And the site turned out beautiful. I mean, if you go to patflynn.me, and you can go there on any device. It's a responsive WordPress theme, custom designed actually by Caleb Wojcik, a man of many talents, and coded by Mr. Greg Young over at hardboiledgreg.com. That's a hard URL to forget, Hardboiled Greg. So I'm definitely going to be working with him in the future. He's great. So yeah, that's patflynn.me, because patflynn.com was taken, and the others were all taken too. But I like it, patflynn.me, and you'll see I actually have some professional photography on the site, because of this upcoming book launch. I wanted something more than just, homegrown photos for the Snippet team for any marketing material they may have needed. And, it's just about that time in my career, in my business, that I should have some professional pictures done, I guess, which is a little weird and odd, standing in the middle of random places and having a photographer take photos of you. It's just weird. But anyway, so Let Go can specifically be found at patflynn.me/letgo. And you could check out some of the other tabs there too. So we had the teaser trailer and actually an opt-in form that said, enter your name and email below to get notified when Let Go is available. So we built this list even before the book came out, another targeted segment of people who have given me permission to email them the day the snippet comes out, which is huge. And that list has grown to about, I think it's over 1,000 people right now, which isn't bad at all for a week's worth of work. I only wish we had this up sooner, but these things always go the last minute, and we didn't decide to make patflynn.me until now. But we're currently since it's not Monday yet, we're currently collecting those emails. And once Monday comes, we're going to switch that opt-in form to the, get the snippet now or buy it now button. And then the opt-in form will be put on a separate page for something else where you can actually get bonus material for Let Go. There's some bonus material for those of you who purchase it. Anybody, it doesn't matter when. I've also been doing a ton of interviews for other podcasts, and I remember when Tim Ferriss came out with the 4-Hour Chef. He just seemed to be on every single show, on every single blog in the world, it seemed, including the Smart Passive Income blog, and he did a great interview there. That's session number 51 for those of you listening, and I tried to do something similar, but obviously I'm not Tim Ferriss. I'm not quite as popular. And so, I still landed maybe 12 to 15 podcast interviews where I had the chance to talk about Let Go. So that should hopefully help a little bit, which is pretty cool. And I've also contacted a lot of my online friends and colleagues who, I knew that the timing wasn't right for either a podcast or a guest post or something like that. And I just, reached out to them, let them know that my book was coming out on Monday, and I would appreciate any sort of help. And if not, cool, we're still friends, no biggie. Now, of course, this is the important part too. I do have an advantage over other authors because I do have this particular platform. Actually, I have multiple platforms where thousands of people are already in my audience. I have an email list of 50,000 people on my main list. I have 62,000 Twitter followers, 32,000 Facebook fans, and so on and so forth. I mean, that just makes things a lot easier when launching something, obviously. But it took me a while to get to this point. Nearly 4 years to build, over 4 years to build this tribe. So for the newbie author out there, or the newbie entrepreneur, the rookies that are just starting out, it's great to get onto these different platforms. Obviously, it's really important, it's a must, really. And it's okay to sell something too, even early in your journey. But you also have to remember that it's really important to focus on building and expanding your tribe, creating real relationships with your audience, no matter how big or small they are, and giving yourself time to grow and time to monetize as well. Because without those relationships and without that time, selling becomes a lot harder. The bigger your audience is, of course, and the deeper the relationship you have with them, the less pitch you actually need. And you can use your products not as a moneymaker, but as a way to strengthen those relationships that you've already built and create new ones at the same time. And the money just sort of becomes a byproduct of all of that. So that's something I hope you could take away from this. So that's enough from me. Now, it's about time to get Matt and Caleb up in here, so let's bring them on. Hey, what's up, Matt? What's up, Caleb? Thank you guys for coming on the show today.
My pleasure. Great to be here.
Yeah, glad to be here, Pat.
And I just have to thank you guys again. I want to make sure I thank you guys publicly here on the show. You guys have been an incredible amount of just help for me and accountability, and just seriously, without either of you, this project wouldn't be what it is, or actually what it will be, because we're recording this on Friday before the Monday launch. So for those of you listening in the future, hopefully it'll be out by now, or it should be out by now. So we actually don't even know what the whole thing looks like as a final package, although we have an idea. But again, just thank you guys so much for all of your hard work, and this definitely was something that was new to all of us because it's a brand new platform. So thank you, Matt. Thank you, Caleb.
It's been a lot of fun. And I think that even though we don't have a perfect picture yet for what it's going to look like on Monday, all indications are it's going to be really awesome. So we're all pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I'm excited to actually get the final product in hand because we've been working
Right.
on it for however many weeks now. It'll be cool to see it all come together and to actually see what the experience is like all in one sitting as opposed to in pieces like we've been making it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the experience that we have is going to be very similar to everybody else who's going to get it for the first time. Now, Matt, I was working with you first as the editor for Let Go. When I gave you the project, and it was just text, and really you probably had no idea exactly what this kind of project entailed with the video and the social media and everything that went along with it. Just talking about the text, and when I gave you that text and you edited it, because Matt is an editor. He has a website, winningedits.com. I recommend you check it out. He's done an excellent job. What was your first initial reaction to the project?
Well, from a text or narrative standpoint, it was very strong. Your story is really compelling. I've known about it obviously for a little bit, but just in how you express it through this format, how you structured the story, the key themes that you hit on, you really did a fantastic job of creating really strong story arcs, as we call them. Mm-hmm. And I think that those are going to really resonate with a lot of folks as they come into either contact with the story for the first time or even deeper contact to it. So even your existing listeners and friends and fans that know you and know your journey, I think you're going to learn something new through this story, just through some of the subtleties that you wove into it. And certainly as we kind of progressed in the project and then incorporated kind of the video discoverables and things, there's going to be a lot of layers here that people are going to, I think, really enjoy uncovering. And to me, beginning with that narrative, and you're a really strong writer, was just, it was immediately captivating and something that I knew I wanted to be a part of.
Cool. Is it and when you found out that there was actually this other side to that this was on the brand new platform, that there was going to be video, and then all this other coordination that went on, what compelled you to kind of reach out to me? Because Matt actually emailed me and said, I love the project, I love the text, but I want to work with you as a producer on the project. What was going through your head then, and what made you reach out?
Sure. So I have another side of my life that does revolve around other forms of digital media, not per se video production. That's Caleb's forte, or at least one of his many fortes. But I'm not alien to software development and new multimedia platforms, particularly on mobile devices. I'm a part of similar projects, just on another channel of my life. So to see what the Snippet team is doing and to have you be really at the nexus of that, it was just really exciting, because it really is the convergence of a lot of interesting things right now. going on in books and publishing, and going on just in media and storytelling. There's a lot of things that are coming together as a part of this project and a part of the platform that I think when we talk about where is publishing going, where is audience building going, where is just message-driven content going, there's a lot of those components working together right now, and that's what really made it a really interesting and fascinating project.
Yeah, awesome. Well, again, thank you for coming on board. I mean, you've been vital to keeping everything organized, and I think Caleb and I will both say that the way you have sort of kept us sane through this crazy process has been invaluable. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
Now, Caleb, I was trying to think exactly when we've obviously known each other for a while. You're doing some amazing stuff on Think Traffic and now Fizzle.co. But how did we hook up for this project? I've been trying to remember. How did you? I'm so glad that you are the videographer for this project. You've been doing an amazing job. A lot of people have seen the teaser trailer, and by now will probably have seen the full trailer, and then also the discoverables in the snippet. How did we connect on this?
I think probably just through editing your New Media Expo talk, and then we had been chatting when we hung out in San Diego about doing some videos on the street. I think you mentioned something, and then we just kind of that never happened or can still happen. But I think that's how we first got connected. And you probably saw some of the video work I've been doing with Fizzle and through other side projects, and that's when you decided to bring me on.
Yeah, that's right. So it was the New Media. So for those you don't know, or a lot of you probably do know, I did a presentation at New Media Expo in January, and Chris Ducker was the one who was actually recording that on film. But I needed somebody to edit the thing, to splice in the slides and do that whole thing. And I reached out to Caleb for that, and we connected at New Media Expo. I think that's when we became really good friends. And he said that he could do that for me, and so I hired him for that. And he did a wonderful job. If you haven't seen that, go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/smartpassiveincome, and you'll see that presentation there. He did all the editing and did it in a really, really great way where I could combine the live presentation with the slides, which I haven't really seen before in video. So thank you for that. And yeah, that's actually how we got you on board on this, because when I wrote Let Go, I never knew that there was going to be so much more involved, and I probably could have done the video myself, but it wouldn't even be near the quality. And then, like we were talking about when we were working together, you were just saying how nice it is that I can just go in and speak instead of having to worry about setup or lighting or any of that stuff. That's your sort of expertise. So again, thank you, Caleb. Now, when working on this project, what from a videographer point of view, what really excited you most about it?
Well, whenever I'm reading a book, I always think I'd love to hear from the author, more about certain topics. And when you write a book, and when Matt edits your book, you take out a lot of the fluff. And when you are on video, a lot of that comes off as off the cuff, and you can get more detail, more personality, more nuances of the person. And so specifically with the snippets that we recorded, part of the time you're kind of retelling it as you're at that location. It just adds so much more depth to your story. It's much more personable. Someone could see what it was really like for you. And even though you wrote the words in the book, when you see someone speak words, there's no hiding it. There's no ghostwriting. That's what the person's really like.
Right, exactly. Now, what was the most challenging thing for you?
Probably the most challenging thing was to get more detail when we shot these discoverables without just retelling the story. To get these lessons that you learned and to try to apply that to the readers, because they could be at any different point in their life and they're all reading the same story, but to try to take it a step further in those videos. And there's not a video in every chapter, obviously. There's probably about a video in every other chapter, but it's just to take it to that next level.
Yeah, and you and I had a lot of fun, going on location. We did some location shots in San Diego at Solana Beach at the train, which a lot of people saw in the teaser trailer, and that's also in the snippet as well. But we also flew to San Francisco to shoot on location, and we had some interesting. I mean, I don't even think this is in the snippet. It may be a bonus or something that we'll talk about later. But we wanted to record at Momo's Cafe, which is the restaurant where I had gotten my job as an architect through a connection in the marching band at Cal, which is very interesting. And you'll hear more about that story in the snippet if you haven't seen it already. But we ran through some issues with trying to get into that location because we booked the flight. We're like, okay, we're going to go to this restaurant. And then I call in to make a reservation, and I get this automatic call that says, we're going to be under construction between, February, whatever, and March 1st, I believe it was, or whatever that date was, and which is when we were there. Except, so we had to just kind of figure things out, and we already booked the flight. And then when we go there, we actually go to the restaurant, and it's still under construction. The day before that, we knew that it was going to reopen. So we're like, oh, we don't know if it's going to be reopened, and we don't know if we'll actually be able to shoot on location. I actually went inside the restaurant, found the owner, Pete Osborne, and chatted with him, and I was like, can we shoot in your restaurant? Is it going to be open tomorrow? Because we want to come in. Is it okay if we bring a camera? He's like, yes, absolutely. It's going to be open tomorrow for sure. And so we come back the next day to shoot, and it's closed for lunch. It's going to be open for dinner, but it's closed for lunch. But the problem is I'm flying out in the afternoon. So we had to kind of deal with that. And it worked out because we filmed outside of the restaurant in the patio. So it was still at the restaurant. We still got a lot of background roll, but we weren't able to shoot inside. I think it worked out pretty well, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think it worked out great. It was actually probably better because there weren't a bunch of people eating, just staring at you. You weren't as intimidated.
Yeah, even though there's probably like 20 minutes of bloopers in that particular take, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because there were so many trucks driving by and honking.
Yeah, that was funny. Now, Matt, what was your biggest challenge as the producer on this thing?
It's an extension, really, of what Caleb brought up, which is the unification of all the elements. So not only was it, like it always is on productions like this, to just identify the elements and kind of manage them, but to make sure that they're coming together in a cohesive entity, right? Mm-hmm. So when we talk about working on the cover art, right, and we worked with the snippet team itself directly on the cover, making sure that the cover was a visual manifestation that obviously enhanced and aligned with the themes and tone of the book itself, of the manuscript, but then was also then complementary to the work that Caleb was doing from a video standpoint. So having sort of a creative eye for all that, being able to manage the pieces coming together, and then to even layer in some of the work that Jonathan Wondrush did for us in terms of the internal illustrations, the internal chapter illustrations, just making sure that all of that production was then oriented in the same direction, and that landed at the same spot. That's sort of the art and science of being a good producer.
Yeah, I mean, again, you did a great job of making sure things came together, and I liked how we all, even though Caleb, you were the videographer, and Matt, you were the editor and the producer, and then I was the writer and kind of the face of this project, and we had Jonathan, who's the illustrator. We all kind of sort of came together to put in our input, even for parts of the book that we wanted to add into it to enhance it, or when it came to the illustrations, for example, we all put our heads together, and I think that just speaks worldly of how important it is to have a great team, to have a team that are not only just people who have specific jobs, but who are also friends who all care about the success of a project and also have fun with it, because that's one thing I got from you guys and I really appreciate is that this was a lot of work, but we all came together, we had fun, we bonded at the same time, and I think just for anybody out there who's working on a project that's maybe just more than a textbook or more than just an ebook or something like that, you really have to have other people in there, not just to help you out with their specific skills, but also just to make sure you continue to have fun with it and keep it moving forward.
Yeah, my hat's off to both you guys. What I've really enjoyed is being a part of that collaborative, iterative process where, you guys put forth ideas, you put forth questions, and we all have the same intent, right? We all want to produce the best quality product possible. So we're putting forth new ideas. We're not sort of bashful about potentially challenging some other ideas because we ultimately want the best ones to rise to the top, right? So Caleb has been great on that. with some of the ideas that I would put forward and vice versa. And I think that the end product and the end story and all of the end components of it really shows how well that has worked.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And I'm excited to work with you guys again in the future on other stuff. I hope you guys would be down for that.
Naturally. Yes, of course.
For sure.
Now, one final question as we finish up. Just again, thank you guys for coming on and sharing some of the behind the scenes stuff. Caleb, for you, now that you've worked on this project and you've kind of got an idea of what Snippet is about and sort of seen where books are headed, what do you think is the future like for publishers?
Well, I think it's a little bit multifaceted. I think that you can't just do one thing. I don't think you can just write anymore, or you can just do audio or just do video. I think just like your Be Everywhere strategy, I think that you should at least dabble in 2 of those 3 things to see which fit best for you, and potentially do all 3 like you're able to do. I think that's been a big reason why your audience has grown so quickly, is because you've done video, audio, and writing. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's not easy for someone to do all 3 of them. I think it definitely is a struggle for a lot of people to write. Personally, writing is not my forte, but audio and video I love to do. So I think it's, as a producer, as a publisher, as a content creator, whether that's free content or you're trying to sell something, the ability to dabble in all 3 of those areas, I think, is really important.
Yeah, I mean, it's been huge for me, not only for building my audience, but staying connected with them. I mean, when we went to San Francisco together, my site was down, but you were kind enough to help me shoot a video to put on YouTube, and then also, I was able to stay connected with my audience even though my site was down. So it's important in that regard too. But now that I have this snippet coming out, and then all my future projects too, I can tap into each of those specific different resources that I have, those platforms that I have, and just people who are only on those resources, who wouldn't be on the other ones, they're going to see the project that I'm talking about or what I've been working on. And in addition to that, people who are just as a part of the brand as a whole, they're going to see it mentioned in different ways. Like a lot of people who would probably read about Let Go or who do read it, or I don't even know if you could say they're readers anymore, because they're not just reading, they're like an audience. The audience of Let Go, they're gonna see the blog posts about it. They're gonna see some of the bonus videos on YouTube, and they're gonna listen to this podcast, and they're gonna love the project, hopefully, even more than they would if they just were in one of the places.
And even when you think about like an author that releases a book and they're just everywhere. Let's talk Tim Ferriss or something for 4 Hour Chef. Mm-hmm. Like a video launch trailer for that is very important. They put a lot of time and money into a launch trailer for one of his books. He's also on so many podcasts and TV shows and radio. And so there's audio and video, and it's really just a physical book. So even if you just want to do one of them, you still are going to have to do the other 2.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I think that's really important for people to understand before they actually partake and attempt one of these projects. So thank you, Caleb. How about you, Matt? Where do you think publishing is headed from your perspective, especially as an editor? I mean, you've been doing this for a while.
Sure. I definitely echo everything that Caleb has been saying. I think one of the important mindsets and the mind shifts that's been occurring in the last several months, last couple of years even, is this understanding that to be an author is, or at least to be a successful author, and Tim Ferriss is a great example, it's more of being an author entrepreneur, which certainly ties in with you and your story and sort of your metamorphosis into becoming an entrepreneur and building your own business and developing products and connecting with your audience, that there are a lot of layers and channels there that deserve attention and deserve care and feeding. And you mentioned the word platform, and that's a popular term right now in publishing circles, where authors that are landing even traditional book deals and landing large traditional book deals in terms of advances are the ones that are coming into those circumstances with an existing audience. So when you think of like a Chris Guillebeau and what he's doing, what he continues to do and growing his audience, I know Chris, I've talked to him, I've talked to his agent, David Fugate, and they've been able to achieve more results and better results through their negotiations for Chris's traditionally published books, because he has himself built up this amazing, diverse audience on his own through his free manifestos, his blog posts. He doesn't do a podcast, but he is another sort of epitome of being everywhere. And it's those individuals that have that mindset, that understand that to be an author, no longer can you only really profit from just writing books, but that books are a business asset, and they play into a larger conversation around what it is to have a message and what it is to connect and share that message with others.
Awesome. Well said, Matt. Thank you so much for both of you for coming on. I'm going to ask each of you really quick where people can learn more about you and find you, and if they want to get in contact with you. So Caleb, let's start with you. What's your website? Where do you want people to go, and maybe your Twitter handle as well?
You can check out my personal website. It's pocketchange.com, where I talk about entrepreneurship. I have a podcast there. My personal stuff is at calebwojcik.com. It's WOJCIK. And you can follow me on Twitter at calebwojcik.
Awesome. Thanks, Caleb. And Matt?
My business site is winningedits.com. My personal site is mattgartland.com. And Twitter is Matt Gartland with a T in the last name, Gartland. And there's also at Winning Edits on Twitter.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Oh, and I have to make sure I give credit to Caleb for the patflynn.me personal website. He designed that from scratch. So thank you, Caleb.
Yeah, and I was glad that you found someone to code it, because I didn't know where I was going to find the time to code it with all this video stuff I'm doing right now.
Yeah, and the coder, you can find him at hardboiledgreg.com. He did an amazing job, coding it pretty much in a day and a half and making it responsive. So you can go check out patflynn.me to see how that reacts on any of your particular devices or your computer. And then also patflynn.me/letgo to get the snippet if you haven't gotten it already. All right, fellas, thank you guys so much. We'll talk again soon, I'm sure, probably this weekend as we approach this launch. And hopefully by now, while people are listening to this, it'll be a success.
Sounds great.
Take care,
Absolutely.
fellas.
Thanks for having me, Pat.
Thanks, guys. All right, that was Matt Gartland and Caleb Wojcik, and I can't stress enough how important they were to making this project happen. And you could be sure that we're going to be working on some projects together in the future. We've actually already started some mini discussions on that. But first, let me just say thank you to you, the listener, for taking the time to hear this sort of story behind the story of Let Go. I hope it sort of gives you some interesting tidbits about the project and project management and everything that goes along with something like this, either after you have checked it out or before. And again, if you haven't already, if you'd like to check out Let Go, you can go to patflynn.me/letgo. No spaces or dashes. I hope you take a couple of hours to read through it, to watch through it, to experience it, and then get inspired by it, and then go do something. Let go from what's holding you back and do something amazing. And that's it. That's all I got for you today. No other call to actions except check out patflynn.me/letgo. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey with me. You are awesome. I'll see you in session 61.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast at www.smartpassiveincome.com.
Have you dreamt about being your own boss, but still haven't made the first steps to making that dream a reality? Well, I get that. Starting a business can feel super overwhelming with legal forms, paperwork, finances. It's a lot. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about Taylor Brands. Taylor is a complete business builder designed to make launching your business simple and stress-free. You can register your LLC in just minutes, keeping your personal assets and the business assets separate from day one. From there, you get access to everything you need to get off the ground. Legal documents, licenses and permits, invoicing and bookkeeping tools, and even a 100-day business coaching program, all designed to help you hit the ground running. You'll also get a free, personalized business plan, branding tools, and so much more. And of course, listeners of this show get an exclusive 35% discount to get started. All you have to do is head to taylorbrands.com/SPI. That's TAILORBRANDS.com/SPI. Stop dreaming, start building with Taylor Brands. Look, I get it. You want to grow your business, but trying to sell to hundreds or even thousands of people gets very exhausting very fast. But what if you could sell at scale with a simple, powerful quiz? ScoreApp helps you sell to more people without adding more to your plate. You build a quiz or assessment that your audience actually wants to take. Then they answer a few quick questions and get a personalized result right away. It shows them where they're at and what they need to do next and how you can help. And you build huge amounts of trust before you make even a single offer. No hard sell, no chasing leads, just value at scale. Get 50% off the first 3 months using the discount code SPI. All you have to do is just head to scoreapp.com/SPI. Again, that's scoreapp.com/SPI.